Tonight, we turn the dimmer all the way down and the truth all the way up. This is the Yeti Review, Ozzy Osbourne, Life and Legend. Score, 9.6. Some artists carve a lane. Ozzy paved a highway through the dark and taught everyone to drive at night. Start where the sound starts. Aston, Birmingham. Post-war bricks, narrow kitchens, factory sirens. A neighborhood that measured noise in shifts and steam. John Michael Ozzy Osbourne isn't raised for stages. He's raised to get through the week. School doesn't crown him. The radio does. Little Richard, the Beatles, blues voices with more ache than polish. He learns a rule frontmen live by. You don't need the most notes. You need to mean the ones you have. That meaning shows up as timbre. Bright, urgent, and human, with a little wobble at the end of phrases that carries truth before the words even land. That wobble will become the bridge between heaviness and singability, between the underground and the living room. Late 60s Birmingham is a workshop for volume. Bands trade names and members like tools. Then four currents meet. Tony Iommi, fingers rebuilt by accident and stubbornness. Tunes down until guitar becomes earth. Geezer Butler writes doom like a field reporter with a bass. Bill Ward swings like a jazz drummer in a storm. And Ozzy, clean, high, unmistakable, becomes the lighthouse. They take a horror film title no one is using and make it a map. Black Sabbath. Heavy music existed before Sabbath, but Sabbath rearranges the furniture. They discover riffs feel heavier when there's air around them. Silence becomes a drum. Bass lines stalk. Guitars bloom instead of blur. Over that, Ozzy refuses to brawl with the band. He rides it. He shapes vowels like flares. A, O, E, bright enough to float above detuned gravity. Consonants die young in distortion. Vowels survive. Ozzy builds hooks to live. Then the records hit like weather. Black Sabbath, 1970. The template. Ominous openings. Church bell dread. Rooms enlarged by what isn't in them. Paranoid, 1970. Thunder with a hook. War Pigs, Paranoid, Iron Man. The Impossible Trick. Songs that feel like prophecy, but chant like playground rhymes. Master of Reality, 1971. Down-tuning stops being a trick and becomes an aesthetic. Heaviness turns into a decision. Volume 4, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, Sabotage. Harmony widens, color spreads, the silhouette holds, riffs as architecture, Ozzy as the light through stained glass. Listen to the voice at work. He isn't a belter, he's a threader. He aims notes like beams, lands them on the top edge of the chord, and lets your ear do the lifting. The melody stays legible while the band roars. Teenagers needed a soundtrack that could carry fear without drowning their lungs. Ozzy gave them a line to follow. Yeti rule. Not just what, why. Why did Sabbath detonate culture instead of merely scaring it? Because they matched the mood. The end of the 60s left a crack in the promise. The early 70s opened with headlines like permanent rain clouds. Sabbath said the quiet part loud. Dread is here. And Ozzy made dread singable. That isn't just style, that's utility. When songs help you carry something, they stop being entertainment and start being equipment. Success plus speed equals heat, and heat dehydrates. Mid-70s life becomes a blur of tours, sessions, hotels that all smell the same. Substances do math in the background. Sleep debt turns into decision debt. The public hears volume. The people inside the volume feel gravity. The center starts to wobble. Ozzy, the face and voice, becomes the magnet for every story a crowd tells itself. Credit sticks, blame sticks, neither sticks cleanly. Still, the shows go on. He keeps stepping to the mic and turning panic into a line you can carry home. That's the paradox of a great singer in a storm. The job stays the job. One last craft note. Sabbath's best heaviness isn't thick, it's wide. The guitars aren't a wall. They're two cliffs with a river between them. Drums live in the river. The vocal floats just above it. Engineers give Ozzy a halo, compression to keep the grain near you, plate reverb to place the myth in a room. He sounds like a person inside a cathedral. The cathedral changes songs. The person makes them believable. By decade's end, you hear fatigue in the margins. Innovation thrills, maintenance grinds. The band that felt like destiny starts to feel like a calendar. The audience hears thunder. The band hears truck schedules delivering it. 1979. Ozzy is fired from Black Sabbath, from the architecture he helped raise. On paper, that's a period. For people who never built anything, it becomes a prediction. He's finished. The machine will roll without the voice. The voice will fade without the machine. Firing at altitude isn't just losing a job. It's an eviction from identity. Habits vanish. Phones go quiet in the wrong ways. Critics in your own head try to close the book. Many stories end there. Great careers aren't straight lines. They're silhouettes that can accept a new light source. Myth has two lives, invention and reinvention. The question is whether yesterday becomes scaffolding or ceiling. Reinvention isn't a coat of paint. It's a new front door. Ozzy hits the floor, and the floor tells him where the ground is. What remains when the posters and payroll are gone? Tone, instinct, the reflex to reach for a chorus that puts your feet back under you. Reinvention starts as a private sentence. I'm still here. The world can disagree in headlines. You only have to agree in a quiet room. Bands are vehicles. Voices are engines. Vehicles can be traded, repainted, retired. Engines know a single question. Is there fuel? For Ozzy, fuel arrives as chemistry. Players who make every riff a runway and every solo a staircase. A producer who keeps the heart in the mid-range. A team that understands the mission isn't to copy Sabbath. It's to prove Ozzy never needed to. Before we say the new names, nod to the first chapter once more. Sabbath didn't just set the bar for heaviness. They proved heaviness could travel. Stadiums, radios, bedrooms, school cafeterias. The songs fit all those roofs because the voice explained them. That explanation is about to translate into a second language. Menace that sings like a victory chant. Take one last walk through Aston. A kid trusts his own throat. A band gives him a frame to hang it in. The frame carries millions. Then the frame disappears and the throat remains. Many careers stop there. Some understand the frame was never the art. It was how we pointed at it. We pause at the hinge. A page turns. Studio lights warm. Somewhere a riff stacks eighth notes that make your shoulders square up. Somewhere a chorus waits to smuggle heaviness back onto every radio in the country. Somewhere a two-word phrase is about to become a cultural reflex. Yelled in stadiums, whispered in gyms, typed in comments, laughed in cars with the windows down. All aboard. All aboard. A door slams open in 1980, and the hallway echoes with a new name. Randy Rhoads. Classical fingerprints, melodic voltage, and a right hand that makes 8 notes feel like runway lights. Ozzy doesn't try to rebuild Sabbath. He pivots to a second language, Menace that sings. The album is Blizzard of Oz. The thesis sentence is Crazy Train. You hear it in 3 beats. The whistle, the riff, the chant. Hook first, heaviness second, clarity always. Mr. Crowley lifts like stained glass. Organ glow, guitar arcs that sound like a staircase you can see through. Ozzy floating a bright top line that refuses to apologize for being memorable. There's craft hiding in plain sight. Randy's parts are cinematic, but never busy. He carves space for the voice, and then frames it with harmony that looks expensive to your ear. Ozzy leans into vowel shapes that float, long O's and Ahs, designed to survive distortion and bad speakers. The mix keeps the mid-range honest, so you can feel grain without losing shine. It's heavy, but it travels. Year 2. Diary of a Madman. Everything deepens. Gothic lift. Choirs like winter air. Arrangements that let the verse stay small, so the chorus can feel like doors thrown wide. It's the clearest evidence that Ozzy's second canon isn't a detour. It's a destination. The voice is the same lighthouse. The shore is different. Then Grief writes in capital letters. 1982. A small plane. A bad decision. Randy Rhoads gone at 25. When a new identity is tied to brand new chemistry, a loss like this can be terminal. For a lot of careers, the story ends as a cautionary tale. What might have been. Ozzy keeps going. The tribute is not just the word, it's the work. Jake Ely steps in with a blade-edge tone and writing that slices forward. Bark at the Moon, 1983, doesn't pretend nothing happened. It shows the catalog's spine. Tempo that grins, a chorus that moves like a crowd already knows it. MTV-era visuals sharpen the silhouette. Leather, neon, a wink with the snarl. The Ultimate Sin, 1986, pushes the hooks harder, proof that melody is not surrender, it's strategy. Enter Zakk Wylde at the decade's turn, tone like a tree trunk, pinch harmonics sparking off the frets. Southern Steel under a city storm. No Rest for the Wicked, 1988, bares teeth. And then No More Tears, 1991, arrives like a cathedral with the lights on. That bass line is architecture. The title track feels carved out of stone. The vocal is the window light. Mama, I'm Coming Home is vulnerability with posture. No grovel, just gravity and a melody that carries you across a room you didn't think you could cross. Radio says yes. Arenas never stopped. The Yeti way is to hunt the why. Why does the solo era land so hard? Because it obeys a simple physics. If the vocal explains the riff, the world will follow you anywhere. Ozzy writes and arranges like a narrator. Verses walk you to the cliff. Pre-choruses tighten your lungs. Choruses open the sky. Bridges are springboards, not detours. One new detail, one lift, back to the line everybody came for. It's not minimal because of limits. It's minimal because confidence doesn't need furniture. Production decisions matter. Keep the kick drum photographic, not cartoonish. Let the snare snap like a hand clap in a big room. Stack guitars left, right, but leave a lane for the voice to occupy, not fight. You could mute the band and still recognize the song from the melody contour alone. That's legacy engineering. Human context matters too. Sharon steps from partner to manager and turns survival into strategy. The right players at the right time. Schedules that keep a career breathing. Media choices that expand surface area instead of sanding off edges. The public hears chaos. Behind the curtain, there's a plan. Reinvention becomes a repeatable habit. Touring turns into a world map of sold-out evenings. There's sweat and sleep debt and inevitable burn, but there's also proof. When Ozzy says a line, thousands say it back like they were waiting to. The set list evolves into a handshake between eras. Sabbath thunder, solo singback. Two cannons, one silhouette. That's rare air. Let's zoom in on the writing lens that keeps paying off. Vowels first. If a hook doesn't travel through a phone speaker at low volume, keep carving. Images over metaphors. Mama, I'm coming home is a picture you can stand inside. That's why it sticks. Tempo with purpose. Choruses that feel half a breath faster than the verse. Make the body agree before the brain does. Honest mid-range. If you scoop the heart out, you lose the human. Keep it. Controversy swirls at the edges. Tabloids, stunts, lawsuits. The echo chamber of people trying to measure a life by headlines. The catalog outlasts all of it. Stunts become lore. Only songs become home. If a song houses you on a bad day, you don't check its press clippings. By the early 90s, the silhouette is undeniable. A voice that reads as human, even when the guitars sound like machinery. A brand that can sell thunder and tenderness on the same night. And a catalog with two front doors. The industry likes to pretend this balance is an accident. It isn't. It's a decade of ruthless decisions about what to keep and what to cut. And something bigger is forming on the horizon. An idea with the scale of a city. What if the show isn't just a tour? What if it's an ecosystem that incubates new bands, gives mid-tiers a runway, and keeps heavy culture in one roaring conversation under one banner? You already know the name that idea will take. You can hear it in the way the crowd says Ozzy like a drum fill. You can feel it in the booking calls and the spreadsheets, and the instinct that says the genre needs a town square, not just a stage. Before we step through that gate, take one last listen to the solo arc we just crossed. The Rhodes Lift, the Jake E. Lee Edge, the Zakk Wylde Trunk, the way Crazy Train and Mr. Crowley wrote the manifesto, and the way No More Tears and Mama proved the manifesto could live on radio without shrinking. Reinvention didn't erase the past, it doubled it. Now the 90s are wide open. Radio is awake. MTV is a megaphone. And the summer is about to belong to a single word with a double Z. The 90s open like a runway. Zack's tone is granite with sparks. Ozzy's vowels ride the top of it like a beacon that never burns out. Radio rotation stops being a battle and starts being a habit. The solo canon isn't the side road anymore. It's a main highway running parallel to Sabbath's thunder, with its own mile markers and its own exits packed with fans. Now zoom out. Every great run eventually faces the same problem. Success narrows the pipeline for the next generation. Clubs can't carry the weight. Radio gatekeeps. Festivals are either too polite or too confused about what heavy actually is. Ozzy's answer is both simple and audacious. Build a town square for the genre and keep the gates wide open. Ozfest. Not a package tour, a system. Booking like matchmaking. New blood on the second stage, where afternoons become legends. Middle-tier killers sharpening their teeth in front of crowds that actually listen. Headliners closing with the feeling that the whole day has been pointing at them. Brands come and go. Ozfest feels like infrastructure. You leave sunburned, hoarse, carrying 3 new names in your phone and an old one carved deeper into your chest. The mayor of that town square is the same silhouette we've been tracking since Aston, a voice that explains the riff. Watch the show mechanics up close. Ozzy's set list is a handshake between cannons. Sabbath shocks early, solo singbacks in the middle, a final volley of inevitables to send people home taller than they arrived. The band is an engine. The audience is a choir. Ozzy is the conductor who knows the difference between silence and suspense. Live craft note 1. Pacing. Verses walk you to the cliff. Pre-choruses tighten the ribs. Choruses open the sky. It's not theory, it's body science. You feel it in calves and lungs before the brain files it under hook. Live craft note 2. Tone against tone. Guitars are big, but not a wall. Left and right are wide. The mid is guarded for the vocal. Always a lane, never a fight. You could mute the band and still trace the melody from the shape of the crowd's mouths. Live craft note 3. Ozzy leaves hairline pauses where a lesser singer would rush. That half breath before the chorus is a contract. You and me, now. 20,000 people step into the same moment, and time slows just enough to remember who you were before the week tried to erase you. Backstage, the festival is a school. Bands learn how to load in fast, how to win in daylight, how to talk to a crowd that didn't come for them. Careers grow better roots when they grow in public. Ozfest becomes the gym where the genre keeps its lungs strong. Meanwhile, the studio keeps paying dividends. No More Tears maintains its cathedral status. Mama, I'm Coming Home keeps sneaking into the lives of people who swore they didn't like metal and then find themselves humming it at red lights. Deep cuts become fan tattoos. Singles become wedding playlists and gym anthems. The solo canon proves something the industry forgets every decade or so. Heaviness and hospitality are not opposites. You can welcome people into a storm if you give them a clear path through it. Let's dissect the chain that keeps the records human. Vocal capture sits forward, but never brittle. Compression holds the grain near your face, not smeared across the room. Plate reverb, short to medium, adds hero without ghosting the syllables. Guitars stack in stereo, but leave handholds for the melody. Kicks are photographic, more there than there. Snares snap like a palm clap you can imagine doing yourself. It's technical, yes, but the aim is emotional. Keep the person inside the spectacle. Business-wise, the Empire is now more than a calendar. It's a culture flywheel. Albums feed tours. Tours feed discovery. Discovery feeds catalogs. Merch is identity, not just cotton. Media appearances are not random. They are windows into the same silhouette. Mischievous, honest, slightly bewildered by the size of his own shadow, and still willing to laugh at it. We should talk about the other weather in any long career. A scandal, lawsuits, panic headlines. The Yeti position is steady. Stunts become lore you tell once a year. Songs become furniture you use every day. Furniture wins. If a chorus helps you do the dishes on a bad Tuesday, or gets you through the last 30 seconds of a set of something you hate, that song becomes part of your body. All the noise dissolves where the melody lands. Awards arrive with their usual delay. Grammys, magazine covers, lifetime nods, the slow bureaucracy of respect catching up to what people already do in their cars and kitchens. The industry writes plaques. Listeners write memory. Ozzy has both. Zoom back to the crowd for a small truth. He still points the mic at the audience during the lines he knows they earned. It's not a trick. It's a ritual acknowledgement. The myth belongs to whoever needs it most today. Watch the faces. You'll see teens who found Ozzy through playlists, standing shoulder to shoulder with people who bought Paranoid on vinyl in a store that smelled like cardboard and dust. The bridge between them isn't nostalgia. It's function. The songs work. Now take inventory of the essentials the live show engraves deeper every summer. Crazy Train is the alarm clock that somehow wakes you. and forgives you at the same time. Mr. Crowley lets a guitar build a staircase out of air and asks you to climb it without blinking. War Pigs is a march that rhymes with the evening news in any decade. No More Tears is proof that bigness can still feel honest. Mama, I'm Coming Home is where the room gets quiet in the loudest way. And each night closes with an aftertaste you can't buy. Relief. Not the relief of finishing. The relief of belonging. That's what all the architecture has been guarding since Aston. The feeling that your fear and your laughter can sit at the same table, while a bright voice threads a line between them. So what's left for a career that already touched the two poles? Doom and melody. Stage and radio. Shock and tenderness. Visibility evolves. The next chapter is going to put the myth in a place no one expected. A living room with dogs, bleeps, fridge raids, and the kind of ordinary chaos that either dents legends or deepens them. When the world watches you doing dishes and still believes your chorus, you've crossed into a new kind of permanence. The door to that room is opening now. The essentials are next, and the last word belongs to the songs. Starter kit for new ears. 6 tracks, 2 doors. 1. Paranoid. Black Sabbath. The hook that smuggled heaviness onto every jukebox. 2. War Pigs. Luke's Wall. Black Sabbath. Menace with moral weight. A march you feel in your ribs. 3. Crazy Train. Solo. Proof that terror and melody can share a room. 4. Mr. Crowley, solo, gothic lift, a staircase built out of guitar and will. 5. No More Tears, solo, cathedral-sized, radio-proof, honest. 6. Mama, I'm Coming Home, solo, vulnerability with posture, a chorus that carries you across a hard room. If you want a deeper cut to show the range, add Bark at the Moon for velocity and Diary of a Madman for drama. Put them in that order, and you can hear the entire thesis in 30 minutes. Thunder, then sing back, then tenderness that refuses to be small. Why Ozzy stays searchable, Yeti edition. Voice, instantly identifiable. Bright top line with human grain that sells truth before the lyric arrives. Hooks, Sabbath gives you gravity. Solo work gives you flight. Together, they form a bridge people keep walking. Myth. Stunts become lore, but the catalog is furniture. You live on it. Media surface area. TV, interviews, tributes, memes, new doors for new listeners every year. Utility. The songs do work. They carry fear, focus anger, and make courage audible. Influence web, quick map. Doom, stoner. The Sabbath grammar, spaces weight, writes the textbook. NWOBHM and glam hard. Menace that still smiles for a camera. Riffs with teeth and polish. Alt, grunge. Honesty in the grain. Permission to sound human while the guitars sound huge. Metalcore prog. Precision and architecture. Bridges that spring you back to the chorus. Mainstream rock. The vowel-forward chorus that survives bad speakers and good crowds. If you're onboarding a friend, here's the 3-step path. 1. Open with Crazy Train at practical life volume. Driving, dishes, gym. Let the hook do the talking. 2. Follow with No More Tears, and notice how bigness can still feel personal. 3. Close with War Pigs, and feel the lyric point outward while the riff points forward. Legacy in one sentence. Ozzy built two front doors to the same house, catharsis and courage. Through one, you empty a room of fear. Through the other, you walk back in taller. Most artists manage one. Very few keep both doors unlocked for 50 years. About loss. In 2025, the headlines arrived, and the world did what it always does when a giant goes quiet. We turned the speakers up. Bridges in Birmingham filled with flowers. Living rooms everywhere filled with choruses. Grief is strange math. The room gets smaller, and the music gets bigger. If you needed a reason to believe these songs are equipment, not memorabilia, there it is. They keep doing the job even when the person